This is your ninth grade physics class, and pretend that you're all ninth graders. And I am your physics teacher. There are a few rules to the class that I would like to mention up front. Number one, you're not allowed to ask any questions. There are too many of you anyway. And if you do choose to ask a question, I will hold that against you for the rest of the year. Number two, I will soon pick one or two of you to be my favorites. And then for the rest of the year, most of you do not exist for me. And number three, in terms of how I teach, I will come into the classroom. I will start writing on the board. You will see my back for most of the class anyway. And please do not try to understand what I write on the board. Please. Do not process. Do not try to make sense of how it connects to the real world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the classroom that millions of students across Pakistan experience every single day. I used to head the investment promotion agency of the government of Punjab, and in that capacity, I would meet CEOs from across the country. And there was one thing that almost everyone would consistently say, almost everyone, that it's hard to find good talent in the country. And so, with a country of over 220 million people, with a very young demographic, it's sort of shocking, surprising, as to why is there such a lack of good talent. And so, that set me on a journey that I've been on ever since, really trying to understand what's the root cause. And now that I engage with students every single day, every week, I am starting to believe with increasing conviction that the root cause lies in the kind of classroom that I started out today's session with. So how do we transform these classrooms? Not improve, not marginally improve, transform. How do you transform these classrooms? When you're a teacher, what business are you in? What's your real JD when you're a teacher? What do you actually do? When you're a teacher, you're in the business of selling ideas, concepts, often abstract ones, complex ones. But what you do is you sell ideas. Now imagine what will happen if we were to start training our teachers to think and behave like salespeople. You all know salespeople? This is not a play on words. It's a shift in mindset, a powerful shift in mindset. If our teachers were trained to think and behave like salespeople, whose job was to get client buy-in, student buy-in, on the ideas and concepts that they were selling. I'm sure all of you know Mickey Mouse, right? If you know Mickey Mouse, you know Disney. Disney is one of the most powerful, one of the most loved brands in the world. And do you know what Disney calls its employees? It calls them cast members. And the reason it calls them cast members is because when they are at work, they are expected to behave as if they are in a show, perpetually, right? Now, that's the power of putting people in that right mindset. That's how one of the most powerful brands in the world, among other things, has been successful in executing its strategy. So imagine that we do manage to train our teachers to start thinking and behaving like salespeople. What's going to happen? 3 things are going to happen. 3 things. Number 1, a good salesperson makes his products simple and interesting, right? A good salesperson makes his products exciting for the students, for the clients. A good salesperson, if he cannot sell the first time, tries to sell the product again. A good salesperson encourages his clients to ask questions. So what happens? The first thing that starts to happen is the level of teaching starts to go up. You start to automatically induce good teaching, better teaching in classrooms. Number 2, whenever I buy a new book, one of the first things I do is I try to take the price label off. It irritates me, a price label on the back of a book. And very often I find that labels are hard to take off. Labels can be sticky. We, unfortunately, as parents, as teachers, consistently put negative labels on our students. Consistently. You're a loser. You could not get into pre-medical FSC. You don't deserve it. Your career is destroyed forever. You have no hope. Consistently, we do that. And what happens is, and I'm starting to realize this more and more as I interact with students from across the country, is those labels become permanent identities of these students. Students start to internalize those labels. Now, what does a good salesperson do? A good salesperson does not put negative labels on her clients. I mean, imagine walking into a Prada store and the salesperson telling you, you don't deserve that shoe. She's not going to say that to you, right? A good salesperson encourages her clients. Our students, trust me on this, because this is a hypothesis that's being confirmed with such a level of confidence that our students are dying for a single word of encouragement from anybody close to them. So the second thing that starts to happen is that the teachers, through the mindset of a salesperson, starts to encourage students. And then there's a third thing that happens. Every year, migratory birds fly from the north to the south, covering thousands of miles. There is one thing that these migratory birds have that millions of students across Pakistan don't. One thing: a sense of direction. It's amazing. I mean, I get tons of messages where students say, I've done a master's in this, I've done an MPhil in this, and I don't know what to do with my degree now. So you have students who have traveled across their academic journey, elementary school, middle school, matric, intermediate, university, and at the end of the journey, they're hit with this existential question of, what do I do with my degree now? But what does a good salesperson do? What does a good salesperson do? Good salespeople, if you have interacted with them, will give you directions. You use this product, this is where this goes. You take up this path, this is where this goes. So our students who have been on this academic journey, sometimes without a single serious session on where they're headed and why, desperately need directions. Directions. So to me, interestingly enough, what I am very convinced of, and it so happens that the solution lies right here on the stage, the magic to transforming classrooms is really in these three alphabets. T, teaching, better teaching. E, encouragement. And D, for direction. That's really it. And those are the three core things that start to happen when we manage to transform the mindsets of our teachers. It's not going to happen through some training program. It's not going to happen if we go in trying to make some marginal improvements. It's only going to happen when we fundamentally transform our teachers' mindsets and make them, push them, train them to start thinking and behaving like salespeople. Thank you.